All right, welcome back to Sneaker Impact News. I'm your host, Bryan the Botanist, and today I have a special interview with Valeria Rodriguez. Valeria embodies a true spirit of resilience and determination. She's a runner, a mom, an illustrator, and a survivor, and her journey through running is nothing short of inspirational. Guys, please welcome my special guest, Valeria Rodriguez.
Hi, thank you.
Awesome. Valeria, thanks so much for coming by Sneaker Impact today. I know we got to go walk the floor. We're so excited to have you as our second guest in our new studio and our first woman that we're featuring. We've been friends for many years, and today we want to get to know you better. My first couple questions are going to be to go back into your younger days and what got you started as a runner, your introduction to running.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me to explore here because running has been a huge part of my life, but seeing a different side of the running shoe that has been so important to me, seeing that running shoe here has been really special. How did it get started? My best friend in first grade, her dad was a cross-country coach, and I wanted to hang out with my friend, so I went out to try out for the cross-country team, and I started running with her, and I was really bad at running because I would constantly trip. I came to the world premature and my legs were not straight. I had casts that were put up to my hips and that were replaced often so that they would straighten out my legs. And running wasn't an easy thing, but it was something that allowed me to do like a physical therapy kind of thing, and horseback riding also allowed for that. But being able to run on the cross-country team gave me the option to get started. Even though I wasn't good at it, my parents were very supportive and encouraging. And I got to socialize with friends, so I liked it. And I'd get really nervous when I'd have to compete because even though I wasn't very good, I was very competitive and didn't like losing. And my dad gave me the option to quit after my first race in fourth grade. He's just do one more and then you can stop. And I won that race.
Oh my God.
And he's like, you can stop now. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. And he's, oh, you like the winning part. You didn't like the losing part. And that kind of went growing. I ran through high school. I ran at Lourdes, Our Lady of Lourdes, under amazing coaches, and ended up with some state titles and a college scholarship to the University of Florida.
Wow. For
running, cross country and track. And running has just always been the lane that I've been in and guided my decisions. The one foot in front of the other mentality. You can do anything if you just start one foot in front of the other. And I was never scared of any workouts or no challenges were too big or no races were too much because the people around me believed in me so much. So from a young age, I learned the power of having someone believe in you. And that's been huge.
That's awesome. So I want to back up a little bit more and discuss your childhood too. That's where we always usually start on the journey.
I'm good.
I know you have a lot going on in your life as a teacher and a mom, so thank you for coming in. And so you were born in Miami, it sounds, and did you have any brothers and sisters? Tell us about early life in Miami.
Yes, I was born here in Miami, Jackson, and I have one sister. My parents are still here, and they are the best trainers that I ever
supportive
had from the beginning.
To this point, always. Awesome. So you got into cross country at the age of 7. That's incredible.
First grade.
I'm a cross country coach, and I didn't start cross country till I was in my 30s. But I saw it as a soccer player. But that's so cool. So as a 7-year-old, so because I coach 6th grade on up in Miami Beach. And so that's a really young age, 7. But you said you had some physical difficulties that you were born with that you had to overcome. Now, when you got into middle school and high school, was that when you started to get faster? And was it challenging more to walk when you were younger and painful? Like, when did it change? You said, like, when you just stuck with it for a little bit? Or
I remember elementary school, running was challenging. Up until like 4th grade is when I started to see a shift in running becoming more pleasant because I was doing better. but it also is a reminder that you're never going to be good at anything right away. You have to be patient. And middle school, the start of middle school was actually 5th grade, right before middle school, was when I won my first big Florida event, like Bantam Division state champion in 1995. And I remember, I still have the shirt that says champion, and I just remember...
As like a 5th grader?
As a 5th grader. I was 10 years old. And I remember
being in like a state basis.
Yeah. I remember being in Orlando, and I remember hearing the people on the sideline saying, she went out too hard. She went out too fast. And it was like the mantra.
How long were these races?
I want to say they were a mile or a mile and a half.
At that age is about a mile,
yeah.
A mile and a half. Yeah.
So elementary was like a mile. Then middle school, it moved to a mile and a half in JV or varsity. And then in high school, we competed in the 3 miles. My first,
5K or
3
track?
miles.
For like just school?
Yeah,
Or
3
for
mile for the races. And then it moved up to the 5K. And then in college, it was 5K, and it moved up to the 6K.
That's perfect, because that brings us to our next section, which is the pressures of competitive running versus running as a kid. It's like I remember in Wisconsin, the backyards, like nighttime games, and that's how I remember running. But as a competitive athlete, share your experiences of living under the pressure of the sport and how you navigated through them, especially at UF.
I felt like I always put more pressure on myself to compete better growing up. Even before I got to UF, I know that I put a lot of pressure on myself, even in high school. But
to get that scholarship or to be the best on your
I
team?
wanted to go to the Olympics.
And you went to Lourdes?
I went to Our Lady of Lourdes.
In Miami.
Yeah. And I wanted to go to the Olympics. I wanted to be a professional runner. And when I got to college, I realized that a lot of people that were the best in their state.
In a bigger pond.
I don't know how to explain it, but when I was in high school and I was trying to break 5 in the mile, and I ran a 5:02, and I was like really excited. And when I got to my dorm in college, everyone in my dorm, there's 4 of us that lived in my apartment, everyone could run 5:02.
Sure.
I won states in the 800 twice, and the times that I ran, everyone on my team could run.
Wow.
So I went from being top dog to being one of...
Humbling, yeah.
Yeah.
Starting over.
And then I also got the chance to see teammates and other athletes at UF in other sports who were coming back from the Summer Olympics.
Oh, wow.
And when they were introducing the teams, like the swim team and the tennis players, some of them weren't present because they were already competing on a global level.
Wow.
And so
you were in a premier program. Right?
But that really was like a solid life check.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not just going to walk in here and
exactly.
You're going to have to grow.
And it was a reminder that to take the next step to that next level was going to take everything.
Commitment, discipline. So tell us about UF. I didn't do an NCAA sport. I ran after college. But tell us about being a D1 athlete and competing in some of your accomplishments.
I guess accomplishments were being able to stay on the team.
Years, it sounds like.
Yes, 3.5 years.
Track and cross country teams for University of Florida.
Yes. Some of my closest friends are still my teammates, UF.
I think I know a couple.
I do, but I'm nervous to not mention all of them.
Okay, we don't have to do shout-outs. We can do that at the end.
Yeah, but I
know JC Crucell.
Hey, JC. And now she's one of my sister's neighbors, so I still get to run with her.
Or she's got JC Arbate, is that her?
And it's
So UF, how was the environment there? Was it being a student athlete?
It was one of the pressures that I felt was living from the sport is really hard because you want to compete at a certain level. You need to also realize that getting hurt is hard to be patient with your injuries because your position on the team is at stake. I had a major injury at the middle of my freshman year where I almost had a toe amputated.
Oh my God.
And so I had to relearn how to walk.
Wow.
And I had to get on the elliptical and train like one foot up and the other one, because I still had to maintain my fitness so that when I came back, I could be top 7. And there's a lot of talented people every year that can come on to the team. So that's where you learn that you can never settle in to a spot. Like, you always have to keep pushing and trying.
Hungry, you gotta keep earning it.
Yeah, and running has always taught me that no one is ever going to get out of your lane so you can pass them.
You have to fight for everything. And
No
work
one is
hard.
ever going to
Not
slow
even-
down so that you can catch up to the lead pack.
Sport is
And
personal.
then, and your teammates, my high school teammates are still some of my closest friends. My college teammates are still some of my closest friends, because you learn how to do life together. And they taught me that surround yourself with people who are better than you, because it'll only raise your level. So coming out, like zooming out from running, I don't back down from being on teams that have stronger people, smarter people, better, more efficient.
Surround yourself with people that are exceptional, and
so that you can level up.
Yep, that makes sense, because you see it in sports. You see it in I played soccer most of my life, and you'd be a great team, and if you play like not a very good team, you just don't play usually very well sometimes. Or if you played a great team, or same thing as when you train with people. When you train with a great group of runners, you do get more out of it than if you just don't train with anyone or with people that don't care. It rubs off on you, the bottom line. I remember that.
It rubs off on you. And seeing how my teammates approached our training also rubs off on you.
Did you train together year-round with your teammates? Okay.
Yeah, year-round.
Program
And
for mileage and workouts.
And I'd come home. I would train with the high school guys teams here in Miami. So like I would train with Columbus, or I'd train with Belen, whoever was training at Tropical, whatever guy teams were around, I'd jump in and train with them. And it's crazy because now my son is going to Columbus.
Okay.
It's like a little full circle, like now the next generation. And I don't know if he's going to run, but we'll see.
You're definitely rubbing off on him.
I hope.
So after UF, what's the next step in your running life and in your career?
So after UF, I went to the Peace Corps for a short stint. It was an amazing experience. And there I realized that the most sustainable way to create change is through education. And while in the Peace Corps, I found out I was going to be a mom, and that life transition brought me back home from overseas.
Where were you?
I was in Panama. Okay. I say overseas because I was outside of the U.S., but it's like a hop, skip, and a jump away.
And you can speak fluently in Spanish.
Yes, and it used to be part of Colombia, which is where my family's from.
To Colombia last year.
Cool. And after becoming a mom, I lived in Austin and in LA.
Wow, you've got,
around.
Yeah.
But running was always what tied me to each of the communities.
Oh, wow.
So when I moved to Miami, I met friends that I reconnected with friends from UF who were runners.
Okay.
And so I joined the running community in Austin, which is amazing.
Okay.
And I started training for my first motherhood, post-pregnancy half marathon after delivering. And I was able to train and be a minute off my time. So before my son, I ran a 1:31 here in Miami. And after my son was born, he was about 10 months old, I ran a 1:32.
We're talking half marathon?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's like a 6:50 per mile pace, yeah.
Yeah.
That's sub 7 minutes for 13 miles. So that's great. You had a great recovery then from giving birth. And in college, was your focus in school on education? Because I want to get into your teaching life. When did that come about?
In college, I was a biology major, animal science, equine focus, actually. I wanted to be a vet. But while I was at UF, I saw a sign that said, "Life is calling." And I followed the sign, and it was to a Peace Corps meeting. So I applied to the Peace Corps.
Okay.
And once I graduated, they offered me an agriculture sustainable agriculture position in Panama. And I took it. And while I was there, thinking that I would come back to go to vet school, I learned that all volunteers their secondary projects are in education. And I started teaching while abroad. So when I came back and I had my son, I started teaching in Austin. I taught in LA. I taught at a language center called Berlitz.
Okay. Did you teach in the LA Unified School District at all?
No.
I had a guest a couple weeks ago that's a teacher, Nadia, that she taught for many years in the LA. She told us that.
That's the one I saw.
Yes. So what teaching were you teaching?
I was teaching
kids?
Languages, and I taught at IBM. I taught at Netflix. I taught at Dell.
Really?
Yeah. They had lunch and learn programs.
Okay. So you weren't in elementary schools yet?
No. I actually taught FBI agents in LA.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
I took their translator test as well to see if I could work for the FBI.
Oh, wow. This is a part of you I didn't know.
Dabbling in things. And then after living in LA for about a year and a half, my family split up. So my son's dad and I separated, and that's when I moved back to Miami.
Okay.
And when I came back to Miami, I came back to the running community in 2012.
Okay. So then I would
actually a few days ago, I told my son, because we moved back April 1st.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Of 2012.
The reason I remember it is because right before leaving, I published my first children's book, and we had the book release party on April 1st, and then that night after the book release party, we flew home.
That is a perfect transition to writing about running.
Yeah.
Talk about your journey as a writer in the running community and how it has allowed you to connect with others who share a similar passion as an illustrator and some of the cool projects you've been a part of.
So coming back to Miami, I came back to the running community that I knew, which included Frankie and run clubs. And in that run club network, I met Nada, and she was opening an online news magazine called Run South Florida, and I started featuring 1 to 2 articles on runners in our community and their journeys. And it worked hand in hand because I did write and publish my own book. I blogged.
What type of books have you published?
Children's books.
Do you want to give any of the names out? People.
How'd They Get In There is my first book, and now I work for other authors and I illustrate their books.
So you're a freelance illustrator.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And so I enjoyed writing.
So you were interviewing some of South Florida's best runners and also just people that were very interesting in the community?
Yeah, and to share the life behind the people that we see running around us in the community, because I realize that story matters. Like the story that you bring to your training and the story that you bring in your head matters to keeping you going. Your why.
And who you are and what you do.
Yeah, and why you get up to keep training, because it's really hard.
It has somewhat different. There's a lot of categories, but that's very interesting.
So there are a ton of reasons to stop doing everything. So I wanted to know why some people kept doing it. I didn't think I was going to be separating. I didn't think I was going to be moving back to Miami. I didn't think I needed to adjust how I was going to be raising my son. So I went to what I knew, what was familiar to me.
To your base.
Back to my roots.
Your roots as a runner.
And the running community that saw me grow up, open their arms to different opportunities. And there is where an opportunity as well in teaching opened to teach science. So I taught at Belen for 3 years, and then I transitioned to teaching at Gulliver for 4 years, and this is my 5th year at St. Stephen's teaching science. And all of them, I've been a life science teacher, earth and space science, and now elementary.
I got 3 science degrees at the University of Wisconsin, so
you're collecting them.
I love teachers, and I'm surrounded by them, and earth sciences are my jam, so.
That's all.
I wanted to talk about the Miami running scene when you came back from California and Austin. What was it like? This was 2012. I know I was going to the Nike Run Club, and that's where I met you, I believe. Tell us about your pace of your life, in the early days of what now has become a big scene.
That's the funny thing about running is that I've done it my whole life.
Since you were 7.
Since I was 7.
Competitive.
But I've always known that running is a more mature sport. You don't see kids saying, hey, let's get together to go run.
Yeah.
Adults getting together to go for a run. I was like, oh, now I have more people to do it with.
Made a lot of friends.
Exactly. And you could see that running is a very neutralizing sport in terms of you need sneakers and you go. You need a watch and you go. You don't
all
need
these different backgrounds.
Exactly.
One person's a roofer, one person's a singer, one person's a...
When you're running, you get to hear about people's lives. They share, they open up, because you're in a very vulnerable place when you want to give up and somebody is like, come on, let's go a little bit more.
You develop a lot of trust and a bond.
And Frankie gave me the chance to continue working with the run clubs in different areas because they were expanding. Before I left to the Peace Corps, when run clubs started, it was just a few of us pacers and maybe 2 or 3 community members that would come to join. But over the past few years, or decades now, the running community has really grown, and there's multiple run clubs.
Yeah, I met you at South Beach, right? At Mr. R's, where I worked
Mr. R.
on Lincoln Road for the South Beach, Nike South Beach Run Club, where we got the socks every 5 times and the shirt every X amount, and we met all of our best friends. And then Brickell Run Club, which started, and now weekly. It's 500 plus people a week, and it started out with a couple people, though. I remember this was 2012 when Brickell started, I think, and South Beach a little before that.
South Beach started in 2009?
Here in 2008, but I lived in Coral Gables for 1 year, and then I moved to Miami Beach, and I think that was 2009, and that's right.
They're huge, but it's one of those things that you see how running organically connects people, and people they gravitate towards movement, and they gravitate towards movement that is encouraging. It's supportive. Also a social...
Yeah.
But there's people that need that social encouragement and that accountability from somebody else saying, come, let's go together.
A group that's safe or that is regular and they can blend in if they want to. They don't have to just show up.
So I've being able to reconnect with the running community when I came back to Miami. And in reconnecting with the running community, it's led to other sports. I started doing triathlons. I started cycling. I started swimming. I met another group of really close friends that I have now through the triathlon community. And with those friends, then I go do other projects that now connect with life projects. And it's just really nice how it all came from running.
Yeah, I mean, running is a big part of a lot of people's identities, but not everyone. But it's interesting how running can help build such a strong community. And that actually is another topic I want to cover, is the importance of community, reflecting on the support and camaraderie, how it has helped you through tough times, and the gratitude and reflection you have. I think you've talked a little bit about, but how is the running journey? What are some of the valuable lessons you've learned that you might want to share too on the journey?
I guess to start with gratitude, I'm really grateful to my body for all the miles
let's talk about
it's been able to do.
Challenges too a little bit. You're grateful to your body.
Your body can do incredible things and recover from a plethora of injuries, but the idea that you can always get back up and keep going, that is not a given. You have to be grateful that you can do that. And in the running community, I'm grateful for the getting up and keep going, like personally, the getting up and keep going as an athlete, the getting up and keep going as a professional. It's
setting bigger goals too, like from going to the 5K in college and 10K to the half marathon and then the triathlons.
Yeah.
What it entails.
I would have never signed up for it because I knew all the training that goes into it, but I was surrounded by the right group of people. I had a great team from nutritionists and training partners to friends who helped me level up to think that I could do it. And it ended up being an incredible race. I smiled for 10 hours and 55 minutes because I was so impressed with everything coming together that day. I was so thankful for getting to the starting line that I felt in my gut that it was going to be an amazing day, and it was.
Wow.
I think I suffered maybe the last 4 miles of the run, but I still had a smile stamped on my face.
26.2 miles of running, right? And then the 2.5 mile swim, 112 mile bike?
Yes.
And then a 26.2 mile roller.
In November.
Okay.
And so again, it goes back to who you surround yourself with. I would have never done it if I wasn't around people who were committing to doing it. If I wasn't around people who believed that I could do it.
Yeah, that's a very scary thing. I've never signed up for a half or full Ironman.
But
if all my roommates and neighbors and best friends were doing it too, that's awesome. I know we got to go on a trip to Guatemala together, right?
We did.
With Kobe.
For training.
Casa Adriana. This was in Tech Pond before Casa Adriana. And
that's right.
you want to tell a couple of funny adventures from that at all?
That was another time where my training was really strong. And we got to go do the altitude training. We were surrounded by people who were like, yes.
A serious group
of
10 to 15 runners from Miami, right? That all went together.
Yeah, let's take this more seriously. I remember coming back from that training trip and going into a season of PRs of racing. A 5K in college, I ran 17:52 5K, but when I came back, I hadn't been able to get close to that, and I ran an 18:12.
Wow.
After that, I PR'd in the 6K, and then I ended up running a 1:27 in the Miami half during that training season. It reminded me that college didn't have to be the peak of my training career, and especially as distance runners, we have a longer time to continue to stay competitive if you have the time to train. What I realized with Ironman Cozumel, I got 7th in my age group, and when I got 7th, I realized that the top few slots went to Kona. I ended up getting an invitation to Kona because they split the males and the females, so there were more slots afforded for the race. But still, it made me think, man, if I wanted to get more serious about this, I could lower my times. That some people will do it to finish it. And when I was doing it, I was happy and grateful to be doing it, but I was also very cognizant of my time, what I could do, where I could potentially finish. And when I finished, I also knew that if I allotted more time to training, if I shifted a few things, I could potentially shave off more time.
People just think about it as just staying in shape, and that's great too, or just socializing. I know many runners that don't care about anything about the time.
And it's hard to explain to people that I don't do it because I care about a specific spot.
Part of your personality, it could be that you're very focused and very hardworking.
Goal-driven. I look for a goal to help me go in a direction. And whenever there's a project or even just in life, I'm always asking, what's the goal? What's the direction? Where are we running to? And I'll head there. I don't mind putting in the hard work that it takes to get to places, but I need to know where I'm going. It's really hard for me to go with the flow. Because I need to know where we're flowing to.
Okay. So you want to analyze it and you want to break it down, I'm sure, too. And that's part of your competitive spirit.
It also comes down to we knew how many seconds it would take to be able to break 5 minutes in the mile, which I finally did in college.
Going each lap on the track.
And you knew that if you were going to hit it or not because of the splits.
Benchmark splits, exactly, the 400.
And in life, too, it helps me to know where we're going and how close, what's the objective, what time do we need to be running, how do we get there.
Having a plan. That's cool. Another 2 topics I really want to talk about are challenges in life that you've overcome, injuries, adversity. How has that affected you? Tell us about some of the adversities you've overcome. And
I guess people who know me know that I've had a series of incidents, accidents, situations that require, that most people are like, why do you get back up? Why do you keep getting back up? It doesn't matter what the challenge is. I've had a lot of the challenges. I think the challenge has been continuing to stay positive, that I can overcome them, because it's tiring to get back up and get back out. But it's also like the persona, but people around you, you level up to the expectation of people around you as well.
Sure.
And I've been fortunate to be around people that have always told me, oh, but you're a survivor. You're strong.
Don't look at yourselves.
You can get through this. If anyone better than you to navigate this. So that's the story that I assume too whenever something happens. What's the lesson here? How do I get up? What's the recovery like? How am I going to...
What can I learn from it? Yeah.
What can I learn from it? But now what I'm trying to do is shift that mindset. Not that I don't want to recover from things. I'm very grateful that I have, but I want to shift from survivor and from recoverer to I am healthy, I am strong, my body can do this. I'm going to
thriving, right?
I want to be more in abundance and thriving.
You have a beautiful son. You're a teacher at St. Stephen's Episcopal School, where I went to do a Sneaker Impact event a couple weeks ago. That brings us to the Sneaker Impact section. And it's a big section because you have a really incredible story with Sneaker Impact. How did you find out about Sneaker Impact and get involved?
I found out through Nada about Sneaker Impact a few years ago.
And who's Nada?
She's Mo's cousin.
Mo, the founder.
Nada,
how do you say that? Sater. And I know her too through the running community.
And she was the one who founded Run South Florida, the magazine that I would write.
So she to Mo.
Yeah, and so they asked me to help them at the Chicago Half Marathon in 2021.
Yep. That was like the first year of the company, I want to say.
And I learned about what they were doing with what a lot of people thought was trash, right? Like things that people were throwing out, shoes. As a runner, growing up, what I always had was hundreds of shoes. And I started thinking about the shoes in a different way after I went to their event. And as a teacher, I started seeing the opportunity for my students, because they're outgrowing them, and instead of them going to landfills, they could be collected outside of my classroom. And having Mo come to my school to be able to talk to my students about how they're recycling them was also really special, because it connected my teacher life with my running life. And it gave teaching environmental topics a way for the kids to be able to do something to contribute to the environment in an easy way.
There's no cost, and it's something everyone can do. Everyone's got shoes, or you can go collect shoes. I'm sure in your neighborhood or from your family that they're not using them.
Exactly. Or the closet, like underneath the bed. There's shoes that they don't use anymore. They can just, a place to be able to. It was through Nada who told me about Sneaker Impact. And then when I went to the event and learned about what they did, then I was able to connect more with Mo and his team about how projects like with schools could work. I also saw how Mo was working within the race community and the running community. They were able to collect them at races. People could bring their shoes and leave them.
Club.
Max Cycle also has a bin. There's a lot of places in the community that have bins to recycle the shoes, to upcycle the shoes, to repurpose the shoes. And it makes you realize this shoe brought me so much peace. It was a part of my journey, and now that shoe can continue on its own journey. And it could be a part of somebody else's life. It could be a tool for somebody else to use it in a third world country.
With it?
To create their own businesses.
Make real money.
It could be a way to reduce waste in landfills, which is one of the issues that we have. I bike by the landfill down south.
Trashmore.
And I look at all that trash when I bike by there, and I am mesmerized by our impact on the environment. What are we doing about it? And so the fact that Sneaker Impact and the team here is taking that on as, let's not complain about it, but let's do something about it.
That's awesome. It was fun giving you a tour today because I've been here for about 2 years now and started in 2022, but you were here even before me. And I didn't realize that till maybe last week or a couple of weeks ago at the Miami Expo, Miami Marathon, Fort Lauderdale, and heard you worked one of our expos and you've been helping with the social media and you've been helping with Mo. And then I got to go to your school recently, so it's really fun and we've reconnected after being friends for 12 years now.
But you see, that's what the running community does.
And I love the environmental and running coming together. It's a great marriage. And for you, and I can tell for me too. How do you live and run sustainably? This is a question I ask every guest.
I guess in terms of how do I stay
running? It can be loose in the sense of it's sustainable. It can be environmental, it can be mental, it can be physical.
Sometimes I don't know how I made so much time to train before when I look around now, because some training cycles require a lot more time.
Sure.
And so it's more like running has always been playing chess, because you have to move the pieces in life around strategically to be able to do what you want to do. And I've been able to continue to run, and running has always been part of the playing board. I've just learned to move the pieces differently depending on what stage
time
management, and also writing out my schedule in the morning of what I'm going to do. I try to put in a time to run. And
that's important.
Sometimes
it's an appointment, like it's with yourself, or it's a very important meeting in the sense.
And when you swim and you bike, you're adding more to the mix, so that you have to make more time for things. But family takes time. So my son, growing up, would run with me in the stroller. Then when he got a little bit bigger, he would run with me as my bike pacer. Then he even started running a little bit about a year or 2 years ago. He started running a little bit to where we're able to do a 5K together. He doesn't like running as much as cycling, so now we ride together more. In order to be able to keep running a part of my life, I had to make it a part, the fabric of what makes it. So my family, in school.
Balance.
I had to make sure to take time to run before school or after school.
For your mental health and
for
physical
my mental health, whenever this last injury, I have a herniated disc in my neck and 3 tears. And I had a brain bleed in October. This last injury has been a little bit more challenging, because I had to really slow down life.
You. Me too. I've had some humbling in the last couple of.
But I went for a 3.5 mile run the other day.
To respect our bodies. Yeah.
And I stopped at the end of that run, and I was like, wow, I've never appreciated these steps so much, because it was a gift. And yesterday I tried to go for a run and it didn't work out. I was able to do 7 minutes, and I was starting to get upset. And then I'm like, you got 7 minutes. Walk the rest of it, but you got 7 minutes.
Committed to sticking to the plan.
Yeah, and I was even going to delete it off of Strava, because I was like, I didn't finish.
Mile this morning, and I'm like, that's all I had time for. And some days I do, and I don't care what people think about what time of day I run or when I run, because we all live busy lives. And if you can fit running in, it doesn't matter if it's 10 p.m. Ideally, I like to run in the early morning, but if it doesn't work out, I'll run at noon.
So to make it sustainable, it has to be a part of everything. And how it fits is like where the magic happens. Everyone has 24 hours in a day. And some people are just more efficient and more intentional about making sure to fit certain things in. And that's what it comes down to me. What choices am I making to make sure that what I say is a priority is happening?
True. Otherwise, you get anxiety during the day because you didn't get it done, or at night, you're like, oh my God, I know. Because we're so used to running. That's the thing, is most people aren't that committed. But you want to stay fit and you want to stay strong. And
it'd be a roller coaster.
Yes, so, not a straight line.
Yeah.
It's the hero's journey, as we talked about earlier, is about patience and about overcoming challenges. So what are your goals for the future?
My son is going to high school, and goals in terms of racing this year, because of the brain injury in October, I told myself that I was going to take a step back from racing for this year and be more open to different types of physical training and different types of activities.
Okay. Where are you guys going?
We're going to Pico Duarte.
Oh, where's that?
Dominican Republic.
Wow.
It's the highest peak in the Caribbean. And it's going to be, I believe it's a 27-mile hike with elevation. Obviously the highest peak in the Caribbean.
Mile hike, you said?
27-mile hike over a few days.
Mountain or volcano of sorts.
And we'll get to see the water projects that the organization does, which is Blue Missions.
Oh, I know Blue Mission. I met them at your school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Sybil's group? Or I think I met someone else that was...
Okay.
Blue Mission. I met them at St. Stephen's sustainability event.
No, that was Blue Scholars.
Okay.
So
But I think I might have met them at Coral Gables sustainability event last weekend.
probably.
Yeah.
So my son and I were going with Blue Missions and Oka Aquatics, the swim school. We are going in December.
I think actually swim school is a partner of Sneaker Impact. Oak Aquatics, or yep, they're one of our partners.
They're an amazing B Corp organization, and actually the owner, Miriam Oka, she just sold her company to her employees.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so now they're all co-owners. Not
cool.
all the employees. It's employees that have been there a certain amount of time, and they've worked a certain amount of hours. But we're going together with them, and that's going to be the goal for this year.
Plumbing, in the sense that these people are carrying, what I heard is that and it's the Dominican Republic, they're carrying water for miles to get their water
To their communities. And our trek is not going to be a specific water project. We will see a community that has benefited from a water project, but part of our goal is to raise funds as we
So you're not necessarily
prepare.
doing the plumbing, you're doing the fundraising
Exactly.
and the adventure of seeing it with your own eyes.
Exactly. And participating, learning a little bit about the country, doing a physical challenge with my son.
Yeah.
Don't know, but I could look it up.
That's okay, I'll just cut this part out.
I can't remember if I can look it up.
10 or 12,000, but it's not a big
Yeah.
deal.
We can look it up after.
Dominican Republic is coming up, and what else does 2024 hold for you? What other exciting things are you looking forward to?
Working on a few book projects as an illustrator. I am excited to help my son start high school, make that transition, and just be more patient with the recovery journey for this year and see if the future may hold more finish lines. My goal is to do eventually one day Kona, but if I have to wait until it's the 80 to 83 division, then so be it.
Yeah. So you're always going to be an athlete your whole life?
I think so. Even when I was 7, I would see the masters competing, and my goal was to win masters. So from when I started, I knew that my goal was to be in a long-term relationship with this sport. And so that's part of having long-term relationships, is knowing that they continuously evolve and change, and you grow and your partner grows, and running is my longest relationship.
That's awesome. Well, and there's ups and downs, but you always...
Yeah. And
That's cool.
sometimes I feel like breaking up with running, and then I'm like, just kidding, I love you.
On the hottest days in Miami?
Yeah, and some days I'm like, why do you make this so challenging?
Yeah. Or just go enjoy the beach. That's what a lot of people want to do. Stay at home and eat some popcorn and watch a movie.
Exactly.
But something about runners, and that's
And
what
you
brings us
always
all
go
together.
back.
Yes.
We always get back
Type A
together.
maybe, or we're just very focused, very driven people that want to always do our best.
One day I'm going to figure out why I continue to push these limits. But for now, I am extremely grateful for the path or the trail that life
All
has
opportunities it's brought you.
has cut
College,
out,
UF, the Peace Corps.
And I wouldn't change any of them because all of them have brought me incredible people to my life. A lot of them have brought me curveballs that have taught me something new. And I've fortunately been able to continue to put my shoes back on, lace them, and get out the door to do something else. So I can't complain about the journey. And I wish, if it's not running, I hope that everyone gets to the chance to find something that keeps propelling them to learn more or grow more or do more or explore more.
Falling in love with something.
Yeah, I hope that everyone falls in love with something. Because that is the most beautiful way to, I feel like it's the most beautiful way.
Yeah, you're not doing it to impress anyone. You're doing it because you love it.
Yeah.
We're just having fun.
And when you're in love with something, you're willing to do a lot of hard things to be able to do it.
Sacrifice.
So, because you fell.
I fell
right.
going down a rocky
Very
trail
steep
before
rocky
sunrise
trail.
in the dark. Kobe chasing me in a car, and I was out there, I got shredded, and you and I think someone else had some first aid skills and helped pick rocks out of my body, and I was in really bad shape. You guys went to Atitlan that day, but I couldn't go in the water due to risk of infection because I was just covered. It was bad. I could have gone to a hospital, and since I came home after only taking a day off, I hurt myself very badly in my ankles and hips. But that was cool that we all were in the vehicle together driving to Atitlan, bumping over the mountains and going to Antigua and going to all these cool places. And there's a lot of cool stories I think that we've had over the years, and now we get to connect again in the podcast studio. We're going to have you back 100%.
About 100 topics because my brain is always in
there's more questions I had.
A million directions. But I guess it always comes down to I'm thankful.
Leave us with a last thought, though, for the Sneaker Impact community.
Fall in love with what you do.
Just, find something in life that gives you purpose. And
that gets you out of bed and helps you to do something of purpose. Like the Blue Missions is on my mind right now because of this trip that we're taking. But their thing is find your drop. That's their slogan. Because find your drop of water, find your way to contribute to a cause, to a purpose.
Find your why.
Yeah, find your why and go do it. Because with all the challenges that we overcome constantly, like you realize it's not a given that you get a chance to push for something.
True, life is
it's
not
full of
guaranteed.
curveballs.
Yeah, I'm hoping I can come back to the running scene soon too. But
and you will in some way. Like the running scene has a space for
running podcasts. I go to a lot of events for Sneaker Impact. We're so excited to partner with St. Stephen's and all the other Brickell Run Club. And so please think of us for more opportunities and keep spreading the word, guys, about Sneaker Impact. I know Valeria is going to be helping us at stuff in the future, too. Valeria, thank you so much for your time today. But Valeria, how can people connect with you? What's the easiest way?
Valeria R1 or Valeria Sketches on Instagram.
Okay. Are you on LinkedIn or any other Strava?
I am on LinkedIn, Valeria Rodriguez, but I don't know
if it's appropriate. Yeah.
No, I don't know the.
Don't worry. I'll
handle.
Share your links and we'll clean this part up. Thanks for your time and good luck with all of your future goals and projects.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day. Bye, guys.
Bye.